When a video game comes out, people review it. And every video game has an embargo, which is the date those reviews are allowed to be published. Usually, the review embargo will be set for the day the game comes out. Not always, but that does seem to be the norm today. God of War's review embargo was April 12th. The game came out on April 20th. That's 8 days prior to the release of the game, and that's an incredibly good thing for everyone. Lengthy pre-release embargoes are inherently pro-consumer, as people across the world can look up reviews to see if it's something that they'd be interested in. They can get lots of different opinions, reviews, and thoughts on the game. But this is not usually how it goes for video games. Most video games that come out push the review release date up in tandem with the launch day of the game. This basically means that a buyer will have to wait for the game to come out before finding any reviews. Depending on when those outlets were supplied the review copies, however, those reviews can actually come out days after the game launches, which obviously creates a bit of a tricky situation for the consumer. He's just not gonna have the information he, or she, I guess, needs to make an informed purchase. And keep in mind that games that take a long time to complete, be it an RPG, an MMO, or a 4X strategy game, require even greater amounts of time to get their reviews done. These types of reviews are often pushed back even further. So it's important for review embargoes to be set in advance of a game's release, so you guys, the consumers, can see those reviews and come to a conclusion on whether or not you want to buy that game. This has been our culture for a long time, and it's something cherished by a lot of people, all the way back to the earliest reviews inside Nintendo Power magazines. But that's only half the equation when talking about a game review. Companies also have to decide, though, when they're going to send those review copies out. In a perfect world, that would be somewhere like 2 weeks prior to the review embargo, meaning the reviewer has 2 weeks to complete the game and prepare his or her review. And since most games can be beaten in this time frame, generally a window like this presents no rush to the reviewer. And if it's one of those long video games, a company can decide to provide copies up to a month in advance. Unfortunately, this industry has seen a great divergence in how publishers treat review embargoes across the board. Because there's no mandatory standardized process, it's 100% up to the publisher to set that date. As the years have gone by, that date seems to be shrinking. While in the past, review embargoes used to be much more generous, now it seems like most games that come out restrict reviews to when they launch. And that is a bad thing. This is inherently not good for everyone, not just you. As a reviewer, if the company sets a launch date embargo, that means you won't be able to provide any coverage of that game to your audience until the game is out. And by our nature, we do want to communicate the quality of the game as soon as possible so that we can protect people from blindlessly pre-ordering games. As a consumer though, there's a lot of stuff you have to worry about with a launch day embargo too. Firstly, you have to be concerned of rushed reviews. The reality of this industry that no one really wants to talk about is that it's basically a race to the finish line. If you can get your review out before anyone else, or at least the earliest you could possibly get it out, you will get more views. More views, more money, more subs, more attention. This all translates into a feeding frenzy to deliver the very first review, even if the review in question is of quality or not. Rushing reviews is a viral problem on YouTube and in the general media too. It only gets worse when you consider how long those individuals have had the game in the first place. The more a review embargo gets pushed back, in this example to the launch day, generally the less time that reviewer has had the game. And if the company gave it to him or her the day before the launch of the game, it's a very difficult proposition for that person, if damn near not impossible, to complete the game and prepare a review in time for launch. But miraculously, we see this happen all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a Bethesda game come out, yet I still see reviews pop up on day one. Bethesda has a day one launch embargo set on every single game they put out, meaning no one can review the game until launch, and they give copies out 1 day before that date. You cannot review Doom, Dishonored, or Skyrim in a day. Thinking about reviewing Fallout in a day, that thought is mind-boggling. Yet, many of these games we still saw reviews come out on day 1 or 2. Even if you played the game for 24 hours straight and did not sleep, eat, or shower, that is still not possible. But in a race to deliver the first review, people still do it, which means that they didn't finish the game. And if you ask me, you should absolutely complete a game before you even think about reviewing it. This is why I love how Sony treated God of War. Several of my colleagues were sent the game several weeks in advance, which gave them plenty of time to not only beat the game, but to reflect on it, analyze it, and prepare quality reviews. This is why you saw so many high quality reviews regardless of score. Many God of War reviews were eloquently written, extremely detailed, giving the reader more than enough information. They talked about the lore, the backstory. I even saw one review that analyzed the game's depiction of Norse culture through its architecture, and that's really cool and interesting. These reviews are clearly not shallow, not rushed, nor lacking in content. Having more time to prepare a review allows one to just make a better review. Had reviewers not had that time, consumers would have gotten less quality reviews, and many of them would probably be based off of unfinished playthroughs, a guessing game, or just subjective bias. Those three things are the venom of the video game review industry, and we can eliminate them or at least contain them by allowing reviewers more time to review the game. This concept is so simple and almost brain dead, but it's something companies have been fighting not to happen. Many companies don't ship review copies or set launch day embargoes to keep reviews away basically from people. This is shallow, hollow, usually an indication that the game is bad. Of course, this is not always the case, and the game Doom, you just need to look at that. But on average, these games are expecting the worst because they assume the worst. God of War's Unsung Hero was the April 12th review embargo and the generous offering of when they gave codes out. It allowed us, the creators, the reviewers, the passionate YouTubers, industry professionals, to explore the game at our own pleasure, which is exactly the problem most video game reviews come tacked on with. A game should be played at the pace we want as people. We should enjoy it and cherish it and take in as much as we want in any given play session. Games shouldn't be work objects where we have to force them down, if only for the end goal of getting the review out in time. No game should be treated as a job. This only puts people in positions where they take the enjoyment out of the equation in favor of a deadline. This can actually skew the score of a game too, because the mind of the reviewer has been impacted, even if it's in a small way. Playing through at a pace that's driven by need actually might affect the way a game reviewer enjoys it, and we obviously don't want that because people often base their buying decisions off these reviews. God of War's April 12th review embargo and the 2-week code shipment date allowed us to campaign for this amazing game. Had we rushed our reviews, not finished the game, or sped through it while in the mentality of, I absolutely have to do this regardless if I want to, then this great game may have gone misrepresented. God of War isn't just the game of the year for me so far, it's also this message to Bethesda or any other game company out there trying to game the review system. Give us the time to make good reviews, give us those codes early, and stand behind the quality of your game. If we can spread that mentality, then game makers won't have anything to hide behind and we'll all be better off. Thank you very much for watching my video. I appreciate it, and I would love for you to leave me your comments down below regarding review embargoes or how you feel about God of War. And you guys take care. We'll see you guys in our next video in a few days. Peace, love, and happiness. Till then.